Commander Elizabeth Murphy watched the video for the 5th time. The security recording from Proxima Centauri B colony showed the attack in terrible detail. 3 days ago, the colony had gone silent. Now she knew why. The creatures on the screen moved with frightening speed. They had 6 legs, thick armored scales, and rows of sharp teeth. They tore through the colony's defenses like they were made of paper. "Play it again," she said. Her voice stayed calm despite the horror she felt. Inside, Lieutenant Daniel Hayes stood next to her. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other, clearly upset by what they were seeing. "They're calling them Ravagers," Hayes said. "Intelligence thinks they were made in a lab. They're weapons, not natural animals." "Who would do this?" Murphy asked, though she already suspected the answer. "The Karvosh Dominion," Hayes replied. "We made contact with them 8 months ago. They made it clear from the start that they want our territory. But this," he gestured at the screen, "using these war beasts crosses a line." Murphy nodded. The colony's death count had reached 378 people, families, children, all dead because some alien civilization had decided humans were in their way. She turned off the video. She couldn't watch it again. "The emergency council meeting is at 600 tomorrow. Earth needs to respond before more colonies are attacked." Hayes looked at her with worry in his eyes. "What can we do against these things? They're like nothing we've ever fought before." Murphy allowed herself a small, grim smile. "The Karvosh don't understand who they're dealing with, Lieutenant. Humans have been taming dangerous animals since before we left Earth. If they want to fight with beasts, they've picked the wrong enemy." The council chamber was packed with military leaders and government officials. Admiral John Grant stood at the front of the room, his face stern as he addressed the group. "The attack on Proxima Centauri B was just the beginning," he said. "We've received reports of similar attacks on 3 other outer colonies. The Karvosh are expanding their territory, and they're using these Ravagers as their front line." On the large screen behind him, images of the 6-legged creatures appeared. Some were clear shots from security cameras. Others were blurry pictures taken by frightened colonists before they died. "What options do we have?" asked Secretary Diane Foster from the Defense Department. Commander Murphy listened as various military leaders suggested conventional responses: more ships, better weapons, stronger walls around the colonies. When there was a pause, she spoke up. "Admiral, with your permission, I'd like to suggest another approach." Grant nodded. "Go ahead, Commander." Murphy stood. "We've been preparing for something like this for decades. Project Guardian was started 30 years ago for terraforming operations, but its potential for defense has always been clear." She tapped her tablet, and the screen changed to show various Earth animals, wolves, bears, eagles, and others, all clearly modified with technology and genetic enhancements. "The Karvosh have created war beasts," she continued, "but humans have been domesticating apex predators since prehistoric times. Project Guardian has taken this human specialty and perfected it." Secretary Foster leaned forward. "You're suggesting we fight animals with animals?" "I'm suggesting we fight their weapons with our partners," Murphy corrected. "The difference is important. The Ravagers are controlled through force. Our guardian animals work with us willingly. The bond between handler and animal is the foundation of the project." Admiral Grant studied the images on the screen. "How combat-ready are these guardian units?" "We have 30 fully trained handler teams, sir. Each handler works with multiple animals. The neural implants allow for silent communication and coordination. The animals have been enhanced for speed, strength, and intelligence." The room was quiet as everyone considered this option. "It sounds like science fiction," someone muttered. Murphy smiled slightly. "So did alien invaders until 8 months ago." After a long pause, Admiral Grant nodded. "Commander Murphy, you have authorization to deploy Project Guardian. Select your teams and prepare a defense strategy for the colonies we believe are at highest risk." "Yes, sir," Murphy replied. As she gathered her things to leave, Grant stopped her. "Elizabeth," he said quietly, "I served with your father. He would be proud to see you carrying on his work with the project." Murphy felt a lump in her throat. Her father had been one of the original scientists on Project Guardian. He had taught her that the relationship between humans and animals was special, a partnership built on trust that went back thousands of years. "Thank you, sir," she said. "I won't let him down." The training facility in Arizona was built underground, hidden from satellites and casual observation. Murphy walked through the main doors and breathed in the familiar smell of the place, a mix of clean air, animals, and the slight ozone scent of high-tech equipment. Dr. Samantha Wells met her at the entrance. The scientist had been running Project Guardian for the past 5 years. "Commander, it's good to see you," Wells said, "though I wish it were under better circumstances." "You've heard about the Ravagers?" Murphy asked. Wells nodded grimly. "The whole facility is on alert. We've been running combat simulations based on the footage from Proxima Centauri b." They walked through a series of security doors into the main training area. It was enormous, the size of several football fields with different environments set up for training: desert, forest, urban settings, even a section designed to mimic alien landscapes. In each area, handlers worked with their animal partners. Murphy watched as a woman in a Special Forces uniform ran alongside 3 wolves the size of small horses. The animals moved in perfect coordination with her, responding to commands that Murphy couldn't hear or see. "Neural communication is working perfectly," Wells explained. "The handlers can direct their partners with thought alone. It's faster and more precise than verbal or hand signals." In another section, a man stood with his arm raised. Above him circled an eagle with a wingspan of at least 15 feet. With a slight movement of his hand, the bird dove at supersonic speed, hitting a target with surgical precision. "How soon can we deploy?" Murphy asked. "The Alpha and Bravo teams can be ready in 24 hours, Wells replied. "That's 12 handlers total, with their full complement of partners." Murphy nodded. "That will have to do. Intelligence suggests the colony on Tau Ceti A will be hit next. We need to get there first and prepare a welcome for these Ravagers." As they walked through the facility, they passed the newest section, a HFY high-security area where the most advanced guardian animals were kept. "How are the hybrids doing?" Murphy asked, glancing at the reinforced doors. Wells smiled. "They're exceeding expectations. The combination of wolf intelligence, bear strength, and big cat reflexes has proven remarkably effective, and they've bonded well with their handlers." "Good," Murphy said. "We're going to need every advantage we can get." She stopped at a viewing window and looked out at the training area again. A handler was kneeling next to a massive wolf, his forehead pressed against the animal's head in a gesture of trust and connection. This was what the Karvash couldn't understand. Their war beasts were tools to be used and discarded. The Guardian. Animals were partners, friends, family even. The bond went both ways. "The deployment orders will come through within the hour," Murphy said. "Make sure everyone knows what we're facing. These Ravagers are deadly." Wells nodded seriously. "So, are we, Commander? So are we." The military transport ship broke through the clouds above Tau Ceti A. Inside, Captain Paul Rodriguez checked his equipment one last time. The neural interface at the base of his skull tingled slightly as he activated it. Immediately, he felt the presence of his partners, 3 enhanced timber wolves named Shadow, Storm, and Silver. Through the neural link, he sensed their readiness, their excitement. They weren't afraid. They were eager. 5 minutes to landing," announced the pilot, over the intercom. Rodriguez looked around at the other handlers in his team. There were 12 of them total, the best Project Guardian had to offer. Each wore the special black uniform with the silver paw print insignia on the shoulder. Sergeant Gloria Martinez sat across from him, her eyes closed as she communicated. With her own partners, 2 enhanced bears named Kodiak and Yukon. The massive animals were in separate holding areas at the back of the ship, but the neural link allowed Martinez to keep them calm during the flight. "Colony defenses are holding, for now," said Lieutenant Alan Parker, looking at his tablet. "But sensors show a large group of Ravagers gathering in the forest to the north. They're preparing for another attack." Rodriguez nodded. "We'll deploy at the north perimeter, split into 3 teams. Martinez, you take the west flank. Foster, east flank. I'll take center. Standard formation. The other handlers nodded. They had trained for this, run countless simulations based on the limited footage of the Ravagers. But this would be their first real combat against the alien war beasts. The ship landed with a slight bump. Rodriguez stood and addressed his team. Remember? You're training. Trust your partners. These Ravagers are tough, but they're just weapons. Our guardian animals are something more. They fight with us, not for us. That makes all the difference. The back ramp of the ship lowered, and Rodriguez felt cool air rush in. The colony on Tau Ceti had been established 5 years ago. It had a breathable atmosphere and Earth-like gravity, perfect for human settlement. Now its survival was threatened. The handlers moved quickly down the ramp. In the distance, Rodriguez could see the colony, a collection of domed buildings, surrounded by a high wall. The wall had scorch marks and what looked like claw marks on its surface. The Ravagers had already tested the defenses. Release partners, Rodriguez ordered. The side doors of the ship opened and the guardian animals emerged. The sight was impressive. Wolves the size of ponies, bears with reinforced skeletal structures, eagles with wingspans of 15 feet or more, and the newest additions to the program. Hybrids that combined the best traits of multiple predators. Each animal quickly found its handler. Rodriguez knelt as Shadow, Storm, and Silver approached him. Through the neural link, he sent them feelings of reassurance and determination. Their mission was clear: protect the colony and gather intelligence on the Ravagers. Captain Rodriguez? Rodriguez looked up to see a woman approaching. She wore the uniform of colonial security. I'm Sharon Collins, head of security for the colony, she said. Governor Wilson sent me to guide you to the north perimeter. Rodriguez stood. How bad is it? Collins looked at the guardian animals with obvious awe. We've lost 23 people so far. The Ravagers attack at night mostly. They're smart. They target our weakest points, and they're strong enough to tear through metal. How many? We've counted at least 30, maybe more hiding in the forest. Rodriguez nodded. Take us to the north wall. We'll set up there. As they walked toward the colony, Rodriguez noticed civilians watching from windows and doorways. Their faces showed a mix of fear and hope. News of Project Guardian had been kept classified, but word had spread that special forces were coming to help. At the north wall, Governor Frank Wilson waited for them. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. Captain, thank God you're here, Wilson said. Our ammunition is running low, and the last attack nearly breached the east gate. Show me your defense layout, Rodriguez said. Wilson led them to a small command center near the wall. A holographic map showed the colony and surrounding area. Red dots indicated where Ravagers had been spotted. They're gathering here, Wilson said, pointing to a dense forest area about a kilometer from the north wall. Our scouts say there are more arriving every few hours. Rodriguez studied the map. They're building up for a major attack. Probably tonight. He turned to his team. Martinez, set up your bears here and here, he said, pointing to 2 high points on the wall. Parker, your eagles need to patrol these areas. We need early warning when they start to move. The handlers dispersed to their assigned positions. Rodriguez took Shadow, Storm, and Silver to the north gate, the most likely point of attack. Through the neural link, he shared images of the Ravagers with his wolves. They needed to know what they were facing. As night fell, the colony grew quiet. Most civilians were in the central buildings as far from the walls as possible. The defenders, a mix of colonial security and military personnel, looked nervous as they watched Rodriguez and his wolves patrol the perimeter. Will those animals really help against the Ravagers? Asked one young security officer. Rodriguez smiled slightly. These animals have combat intelligence close to human level, reaction times 3 times faster than unmodified wolves, and jaws that can crush titanium. Plus, they work as a perfect team thanks to the neural network between them. So yes, they'll help. At midnight, Parker's voice came through Rodriguez's comm. Movement in the North Forest. Multiple targets approaching fast. Rodriguez alerted his team. All handlers, prepare for contact. Remember, we need to capture at least one Ravager alive if possible. Command wants to study their control mechanisms. Through his neural link, Rodriguez felt Shadow's alertness spike. The wolf had detected something, a scent on the wind that wasn't human or earth animal. Then they heard it, a strange, chittering sound that rose from the darkness beyond the colony's lights. It was answered by similar sounds from different directions. The Ravagers were surrounding the colony. "They're coordinating," Rodriguez said into his comm. "Just like the report said, these things are operating with pack tactics." The first Ravager appeared at the edge of the lights. It was worse in person than in the videos. 6 legs moved with unnerving coordination. Its body was covered in armored scales that reflected the colony's lights. Multiple rows of teeth gleamed as it opened its mouth to make another chittering sound. More appeared behind it. 10, 20, 30 Ravagers emerged from the darkness. Governor Wilson's voice came through the comm, strained with fear. "There are more than last time, much more." Rodriguez stood at the gate with his 3 wolves. Through the neural link, he sent them one simple command: protect. The Ravagers charged the colony all at once, and the guardian animals met them head-on. Shadow led Rodriguez's pack, moving with impossible speed. The enhanced wolf slammed into the first Ravager with enough force to send it tumbling backward. Storm and Silver flanked 2 more, working in perfect coordination, as they had been trained to do. Around the perimeter, the other guardian animals engaged the alien war beasts. Martinez's bears stood their ground as Ravagers tried to climb the wall, swatting them down with paws enhanced with titanium-reinforced bones. Parker's eagles dove from above, targeting the Ravagers' eyes and vulnerable spots between their armored plates. Rodriguez moved with his wolves, his rifle firing at Ravagers that got past the first line of defense. The colony's defenders watched in amazement as the guardian animals, Earth's apex predators enhanced with human technology, met the alien war beasts as equals. The battle was fierce. The Ravagers were strong and seemingly felt no pain, but they fought as weapons following programmed instructions. The guardian animals fought as warriors protecting their handlers and the humans in the colony. They adapted, communicated, and worked together in ways the Ravagers couldn't match. By dawn, it was over. 23 Ravagers lay dead around the colony's walls. 4 more had been captured alive, disabled by carefully placed shots to their nerve centers. 3 guardian animals had been injured, but none killed. The handlers treated their partners with the same care they would give a human soldier. As the sun rose over the colony, Governor Wilson approached Rodriguez. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Without your team, we would have been overrun." Rodriguez nodded as he applied medical gel to a cut on Shadow's flank. "This is just the beginning, Governor. The Carvash won't stop with one defeat, but now we know their war beast can be beaten." He looked at his wolf, feeling pride through their neural connection. "And now we show them that humans don't just make weapons. We make allies." Dr. Samantha Wells studied the captured Ravager through the thick glass wall of the containment unit. The alien war beast paced back and forth, its 6 legs moving in perfect rhythm. Even wounded and trapped, it was an impressive creature. "It hasn't eaten in 3 days, said her assistant, Kyle Peterson. "Should we try a different food mix?" Wells shook her head. "I don't think it's a matter of the right food. Look at its neck." She pointed to a metal device partially embedded in the Ravager's scales. It was about the size of a human palm, with tiny lights that blinked in a steady pattern. "I think that's a control device," she said. "It might also regulate their feeding behavior. The Carvash wouldn't want their war beast to hunt on their own." Peterson nodded. "Makes sense. Keep them dependent." Wells turned away from the glass and walked to her workstation. The secure lab beneath the Rocky Mountains had been expanded to study the Ravagers. Since the successful defense of Tau Ceti E, 2 weeks ago, Project Guardian had captured a total of 8 Ravagers. 4 were here in the main facility. The others were at different research centers around Earth. Commander Elizabeth Murphy entered the lab, accompanied by Admiral Grant. Both looked serious. "Dr. Wells, we need an update," Grant said. "The Carvash have attacked 2 more colonies. Our Guardian teams are holding them off, but we're stretched thin." Wells gestured for them to follow her to a large screen. We've made some progress. Understanding the Ravagers, they're not natural animals. They were created by combining DNA from multiple species with significant artificial components. She tapped on her tablet, and the screen showed detailed scans of a Ravager's internal structure. The control device on their necks connects directly to their central nervous system. It lets the Carvash direct them remotely. It also administers pain if they don't follow orders. Murphy frowned. They control them through pain? Yes. And there's more. Wells changed the display to show brain scans. Their brains have been simplified. Natural predators have complex emotions and social behaviors. These Ravagers have been engineered to remove those traits. They feel fear and pain, but not much else. Admiral Grant studied the images. Can we use this information to fight them better? I think so, Wells replied. If we can disrupt the control signals, the Ravagers might become confused and disorganized. And there's something else. She paused. I believe we could reprogram the control devices. Murphy looked surprised. You mean take control of them ourselves? Wells shook her head. Not exactly. I mean, we could remove the pain triggers and allow their more natural behaviors to emerge. Without constant pain and control, they might be less aggressive. Grant looked skeptical. Doctor, these are weapons created to kill humans. You're suggesting we try to, what? Rehabilitate them? I'm suggesting we give them a choice, Wells said firmly. The Carvash never did that, and it might give us a strategic advantage. Before Grant could respond, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed throughout the lab. Peterson rushed to a console. We've got a problem. A Carvash ship just entered Earth's solar system. It's not responding to hails. Grant immediately went into action, contacting Fleet Command through his comm unit. Murphy moved to Wells's side. How soon can you develop a way to disrupt the Ravager control signals? She asked urgently. Wells thought quickly. With what we've learned so far, maybe a week, but that's just to create a prototype. You have 3 days, Murphy said. If the Carvash are coming to Earth, they'll bring their war beasts. We need every advantage we can get. The next 3 days were a blur of activity. Wells and her team worked around the clock, developing a device that could interrupt the signals sent to the Ravagers. They tested it on the captured specimens with promising results. When the control signals were blocked, the Ravagers became less aggressive. Some even showed curiosity about their surroundings. Meanwhile, Project Guardian mobilized all available handlers and their animal partners. Defense systems around Earth were put on high alert. The planet had not faced a direct threat in over 50 years, but the protocols were still in place. On the 3rd day, the Carvash ship took up position just beyond the moon. It was larger than any alien vessel humans had encountered before, nearly a kilometer in length. In the command center near Washington, D.C., Admiral Grant watched the main screen with Commander Murphy and other military leaders. They're launching smaller ships, reported a sensor officer, hundreds of them, headed for major population centers. Grant's face was grim. Deploy all Guardian teams according to the defense plan. Get the civilian population to the shelters. Murphy received deployment orders for her team. They would defend the West Coast, where several Carvash landing ships were headed. What about Dr. Wells's signal disruptor? She asked Grant. It's being distributed to all teams now, he replied. It's not fully tested, but we're out of time. Murphy nodded and headed for the transport that would take her to her position. As she boarded, she received a message from Dr. Wells. The disruptors have a range of about 100 meters, Wells explained. Get them close to as many Ravagers as you can, but be careful. When first disrupted, the Ravagers might become more erratic before they calm down. Understood, Murphy replied. What, about your captured specimens? There was a pause before Wells answered. I'm trying something. If it works, I'll let you know. Murphy didn't have time to ask for details. Her transport was already lifting off, headed west at supersonic speed. The first Carvash landing ships touched down near San Francisco. As predicted, they released dozens of Ravagers, but these were larger than the ones from previous attacks. They moved faster and had heavier armor. Murphy and her team set up defensive positions with their guardian animals. Her own partner was a hybrid named Atlas, part wolf, part bear, with enhanced strength and intelligence that matched or exceeded the best of both species. Through their neural link, Murphy sensed Atlas's readiness. Unlike the Ravagers, the Guardian, animals understood what they were fighting for. They were protecting their handlers, their homes, their planet. The first wave of Ravagers approached from the east. They moved in perfect formation, controlled by Carvosh operators somewhere on their main ship. Activate disruptors, Murphy ordered her team. The devices Wells had created were set up in a perimeter around their position. When activated, they emitted a signal that interfered with the Ravagers' control implants. The effect was immediate. The front line of Ravagers stumbled, their coordinated movement falling apart. Some thrashed around as if in confusion. Others turned and ran in different directions. Through her binoculars, Murphy could see the control devices on their necks flashing rapidly as the Carvosh tried to reassert control. "It's working," she said into her comm. "The disruptors are breaking their formations." "Same here," reported another team leader from his position near Chicago. "The Ravagers are disorganized." But the Carvosh adapted quickly. The control signals changed, becoming stronger. Some Ravagers regained their coordination and continued their advance. "Second wave approaching," warned one of Murphy's teammates. "The disruptors aren't affecting them as much." Murphy looked at Atlas. Through their neural link, she shared her plan. Atlas understood immediately. As the Ravagers approached, the Guardian animals met them in battle. It was similar to the fight at Tau Ceti A, but more intense. These enhanced Ravagers were stronger, faster, and more difficult to injure. But the Guardian animals had something the Ravagers didn't: purpose. They fought to protect, not because they were forced to attack. And in that critical difference lay humanity's hope. The battle for Earth had begun. The battle raged outside San Francisco for 3 hours. Commander Elizabeth Murphy and her Guardian team fought wave after wave of Ravagers. The signal disruptors worked at first, but the Carvosh adjusted their control frequencies. The alien war beasts kept coming. Atlas fought by Murphy's side, his hybrid body showing both wolf speed and bear strength. Through their neural link, Murphy could feel his determination matched her own. They would not let Earth fall. "Commander, we can't hold this position much longer," called Lieutenant Hayes over the comm. "They're circling around to the south." Murphy looked through her tactical visor. He was right. A group of at least 20 Ravagers was moving to flank them. "All teams fall back to position Bravo," she ordered. "Bring the disruptors. We need to keep them between us and the city." As the Guardian teams moved to their secondary position, Murphy received an urgent message from headquarters. "Commander, we're picking up a new signal from the Carvosh mothership," said Admiral Grant's voice. "It's aimed directly at your location." Before Murphy could respond, a bright light flashed from the sky. A new ship, smaller than the mothership but still massive, descended through the clouds. It landed 2 kilometers from their position. "What is that?" Hayes asked, his voice tense. Murphy zoomed in with her visor. The ship's main door was opening. What came out made her blood run cold. "They brought something new," she said into her comm. "It's at least 3 times the size of the regular Ravagers." The creature that emerged was enormous. It had the same 6-legged design as the Ravagers, but stood nearly 5 meters tall. Its armored plates were thicker, and what looked like weapons were mounted on its shoulders. "All teams hold position," Murphy ordered. "We need a new plan." Through the neural link, she felt Atlas's reaction to the giant Ravager. It wasn't fear. Guardian animals were engineered to be brave. It was more like concern, a recognition that this threat was beyond what they had trained for. "Commander Murphy, this is Dr. Wells. Do you copy?" The scientist's voice came through her comm. "I copy, Doctor. Please tell me you have good news." I've been working with the captured Ravagers. I think I've found a way to completely override their control devices, not just disrupt them." Murphy watched as the giant Ravager began to move toward them, flanked by dozens of regular Ravagers. We could use that right about now, Doctor. I'm sending you new code for the disruptors, but there's a catch. You need to get much closer for it to work. Within 20 meters. Murphy looked at the approaching enemy force. Getting within 20 meters of that giant would be nearly suicide. What exactly will this new code do? She asked. It won't just disrupt their control, it will completely reset their control devices. The Ravagers will be free to make their own choices. And you think they'll choose not to attack us? There was a pause before Wells answered. From what I've observed in the lab, yes. Without the pain and control, they show curiosity, not aggression. They're victims too, Commander. Murphy considered their options. The giant Ravager was now 1 kilometer away and closing fast. Regular military units were being overwhelmed across the globe. The Guardian animals were effective but outnumbered. We'll try it, she decided. All teams, new plan. We need to get close to the big one and deploy the updated disruptors. She quickly divided the teams into 3 groups. One would distract the regular Ravagers. Another would provide cover. Her team would approach the giant with the modified disruptors. Upload the new code now, Doctor, she said. While the update transferred, Murphy looked at Atlas. Through their neural link, she explained what they needed to do. The risk was great, but Atlas didn't hesitate. Their trust went both ways. Handler and animal, partners in the truest sense. Code uploaded, Wells confirmed. Good luck, Commander. The teams moved into position. Captain Rodriguez led his wolves in a flanking attack, drawing many of the regular Ravagers away from the giant. Sergeant Martinez and her bears provided cover, engaging another group of enemies. Murphy, Hayes, and 2 other handlers approached the giant Ravager with their Guardian partners. They carried the modified disruptors in backpacks. The giant sensed them coming. It turned its massive head, eyes glowing with an unnatural red light. The weapons on its shoulders fired, sending energy bolts that scorched the ground near them. Spread out, Murphy ordered. We need to surround it. The handlers and their animal partners circled the giant, dodging its attacks. The regular Ravagers tried to protect their larger companion, but the Guardian animals kept them busy. Through the neural link, Murphy coordinated with Atlas. She would approach from the front while Atlas attacked from behind, creating an opening for Hayes to plant the disruptor. Murphy fired her rifle at the giant's face, aiming for its eyes. The shots bounced off its armored plates but got its attention. The giant turned toward her, weapons charging. That was when Atlas struck. The hybrid animal leaped onto the giant's back, claws digging between armored plates. The giant thrashed, trying to dislodge him. Now Hayes, Murphy shouted. Hayes rushed forward with his Guardian partner, an enhanced eagle named Talon. While Talon distracted the giant by diving at its face, Hayes placed the disruptor directly on its control device, which was much larger than those on the regular Ravagers. Disruptor in place, Hayes called. Activating now. The device lit up, sending the override signal directly into the giant's control system. For a moment, nothing happened. The giant continued to thrash and fire its weapons. Then, suddenly it froze. The red glow in its eyes flickered and died. Its 6 legs trembled as if uncertain what to do. Similar reactions spread through the regular Ravagers nearby. Those within range of the secondary disruptors stopped fighting. Some fell to the ground. Others stood still, their heads moving as if looking around for the first time. Murphy approached the giant cautiously, rifle ready. Atlas jumped down from its back but stayed alert. The giant lowered itself to the ground. Its weapons powered down. Through the gaps in its armor, Murphy could see its sides expanding and contracting rapidly, the equivalent of heavy breathing. What's happening? Hayes asked, standing beside her. I think it's working, Murphy replied. The control is gone. She watched as the giant slowly turned its head toward a nearby Ravager. There was no aggression in the movement, more like recognition. The smaller Ravager approached the giant tentatively. Around them, the battle had paused. Guardian animals and freed Ravagers stood in an uneasy truce. Through the neural link, Murphy could feel Atlas's curiosity. He sensed no immediate threat from the Ravagers now. Commander, status report, Admiral Grant's voice came through her comm. Sir, the override worked. The Ravagers near us are no longer under Karvosh control. They've stopped attacking. There was a pause. Can you confirm they're not a threat? Murphy looked at the giant Ravager. It was now sitting calmly, watching her with eyes that had turned from red to a natural amber color. They don't appear to be hostile now, sir. Dr. Wells was right. Without the control and pain, they're not aggressive. Similar reports are coming in from other locations where the new disruptors were deployed, Grant said. But the Karvosh mothership is still up there. This isn't over yet. Murphy nodded, even though Grant couldn't see her. No, sir, it's not. But I think we just found their weakness. They don't understand partnership. They only know control. And now their weapons have been turned against them. She looked at Atlas, feeling pride and gratitude through their neural link. Humans had domesticated dangerous animals since prehistoric times. Not through force, but through trust and mutual benefit. The Karvosh had created living weapons, never understanding that true strength came from willing alliance, not from control. The battle for Earth was far from over. But for the first time, Murphy felt certain they would win. Admiral John Grant stared at the massive Karvosh mothership on the main view screen. It hung in space above Earth, a dark reminder that the war was not over. Reports from around the world confirmed that the Ravagers had been freed from control, but the Karvosh themselves remained a threat. They've stopped launching landing craft, reported a sensor officer. But they're charging weapons. Grant turned to his tactical team. Options? Commander Elizabeth Murphy stood among the officers, in the command center. She had been called back from the field after her success with the giant Ravager. Atlas, her guardian partner, rested at her feet, his hybrid form drawing curious glances from those who had never seen the Project Guardian animals up close. Sir, we could launch a counterattack, suggested one officer. Our fleet is assembled, on the far side of the moon. Grant shook his head. Their ship outguns us 10-1. We'd lose too many people. Dr. Samantha Wells stepped forward. She had arrived an hour ago with new information. Admiral, I've been studying the control devices we removed from the Ravagers, she said. They work on a closed network system. All commands come from a central point on the mothership. Can we use that somehow? Grant asked. Wells nodded. I believe so. If we could get aboard their ship and access the central control system, we could potentially send our override signal to all Ravagers at once. The room fell silent as everyone considered this idea. Getting aboard a hostile alien ship seems impossible, Grant finally said. Not necessarily, Murphy said. The Karvosh have been using smaller transport ships to deploy their Ravagers. We captured 3 of them intact near Chicago. Grant looked thoughtful. A small team might be able to approach the mothership in a captured transport without raising alarms. I volunteer to lead the mission, Murphy said immediately. Grant studied her face. You understand the risks, Commander? If captured, there would be no rescue. Murphy nodded. I understand, sir. I need to go too, Wells added. I'm the only one who fully understands the control system and can upload the override. Grant considered their proposal. Earth's fleet wasn't strong enough to win a direct battle. Their best hope was this risky mission. Assemble your team, he finally ordered. Small and mobile, in and out as quickly as possible. 6 hours later, Murphy sat in the cockpit of a captured Karvosh transport ship. With her were Dr. Wells, Lieutenant Hayes, and Captain Rodriguez. Their guardian partners, Atlas, Talon, and Rodriguez's Wolf Shadow, were secured in the back compartment. Control, this is Infiltration Team Alpha, Murphy said into the comm. We are ready for launch. Copy. That Alpha, came Grant's voice. Remember, your mission is to reach the central control system, upload the override, and get out. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Understood, sir. The small ship lifted off from the secure facility and headed toward space. They had studied the Karvosh transport systems and believed they could mimic the proper approach signals. Their plan depended on being mistaken for a returning Ravager deployment vessel. As they left Earth's atmosphere, the mothership came into view. It was even more intimidating up close, a massive structure of dark metal with weapon emplacements covering its surface. Receiving automatic hail from the mothership, Hayes reported. The ship's computer is responding with the correct codes. They held their breath as they waited to see if the mothership would accept their approach. After a tense minute, they received clearance to land in one of the mothership's many docking bays. It worked, Hayes said, sounding surprised. They think we're one of theirs. Murphy turned to the team. Once we're inside, we follow the plan. Wells and I will head for the central control room. Hayes and Rodriguez, you secure our escape route. Everyone nodded. The guardian animals sensed the tension through their neural links and remained quiet and alert. The transport ship landed smoothly in a large docking bay. Through the view screen, they could see other ships and what appeared to be Carvosh workers, moving about. Ready? Murphy asked. The team checked their weapons and equipment. The guardian animals moved to their handlers' sides. They had a rough map of the mothership, based on data gathered from captured Carvosh and analysis of their technology. They moved quickly from the transport into the mothership. The Carvosh they encountered barely glanced at them. The aliens were tall, with gray skin and 4 arms. They seemed focused on their tasks, not expecting intruders. Following Wells' guidance, they made their way deeper into the ship. The central control room, according to their intelligence, was near the core of the vessel, 2 levels down, Wells whispered, checking her scanner. There's a high-energy signature consistent with the control system. They found an access shaft and descended. The guardian animals moved silently, their enhanced senses alert for danger. Through her neural link, Murphy could feel Atlas's tension and readiness. The central control room was larger than they expected. Screens covered the walls showing different parts of Earth where battles had taken place. In the center stood a massive device that pulsed with energy, the main control transmitter for the Ravagers. There, Wells said, pointing. That's what we need to access. As they moved toward it, a door on the far side of the room slid open. A Carvosh officer entered, taller than the others they had seen, wearing an ornate uniform with symbols of rank. The alien froze when it saw them. Then it reached for a control panel on its wrist. Atlas reacted before Murphy could give a command. The hybrid guardian leaped across the room, knocking the Carvosh officer to the floor before it could raise an alarm. Secure him, Murphy ordered, as she and Wells rushed to the central control device. Wells quickly connected her equipment to the alien technology. Her fingers moved rapidly over her tablet. Their system is complex, she muttered. But the basic principles are similar to ours. I can do this. Murphy kept watch while Wells worked. Hayes reported through the comm that their escape route remained clear, but they needed to hurry. Got it, Wells finally said. Uploading our override now. The central device's pulsing changed rhythm. The screens on the walls showed Ravagers, across Earth suddenly stopping, their control devices deactivating. It's working, Wells said. All Ravagers should be free from control now. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the ship. The Carvosh officer had managed to trigger an emergency signal despite being restrained. Time to go, Murphy said. Hayes, Rodriguez were coming out. They ran back the way they had come, the guardian animals protecting their flanks. Carvosh security forces converged on their location, forcing them to fight their way through several corridors. When they reached the docking bay, they found their transport ship surrounded by armed Carvosh. New plan, Murphy said quickly. We take that. She pointed to a larger ship nearby that appeared to be preparing for launch. The team fought their way across the docking bay. The guardian animals proved their worth again, creating chaos among the Carvosh who had never encountered Earth's enhanced predators before. They reached the ship and forced their way inside. Hayes, who had studied the Carvosh transport systems, managed to start the engines. Hang on, he called as the ship lifted off. They burst out of the docking bay amid weapons fire from the mothership's defenses. Hayes pushed the engines to maximum as they sped away from the massive vessel. Admiral Grant, this is Alpha Team, Murphy called over the comm. Mission accomplished. The override has been uploaded to all Ravager control systems. Well done, Alpha, Grant replied. Return to base immediately. Our sensors show the mothership is powering up its main engines. They watched on their rear scanners as the Karvosh mothership began to move. Instead of attacking Earth, however, it was turning away. "They're leaving," Hayes said in disbelief. "Without their war beasts, they've lost their main weapon," Murphy said. "They're retreating to reconsider." As they headed back to Earth, Murphy looked at her team and their guardian partners. Humans had faced an enemy that tried to use controlled animals as weapons. But humans had learned long ago that true strength came from partnership, not domination. What the Karvosh never understood was that Earth's history with its animals was not about breaking them to human will. It was about working together, each bringing their own strengths. The Karvosh had unleashed war beasts on human colonies, never realizing that humans had already domesticated worse, not by force, but by friendship. And that made all the difference. This war wasn't over. The Karvosh would likely return with new weapons and strategies, but Earth would be ready, and next time, they might have some new allies, the very creatures the Karvosh had created to destroy them. Murphy placed her hand on Atlas's head, feeling the bond between them through the neural link. It wasn't control, it was trust. And that was something the Karvosh might never understand.